An ordinary walk in the neighborhood turned into an unforgettable confrontation for an elderly couple, one they never saw coming. The sun was setting over a quiet suburban neighborhood as the elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, walked hand in hand, their dark glasses shielding their eyes. The cool breeze whispered through the trees, a serene moment in their otherwise peaceful lives. But this tranquility was soon shattered. As they neared the corner, a voice interrupted their calm. "What are you two doing here?" a woman demanded. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, both in their late 70s, had lived in this neighborhood for decades. Blind and relying on their canes, they'd long been familiar faces to the neighbors. Today, though, their peaceful walk would be interrupted by an unexpected confrontation. The woman, who introduced herself as Karen, a seemingly concerned neighbor, eyed them suspiciously. "What are you really doing here? You're not just walking, are you?" she snapped, narrowing her eyes. Mrs. Thompson, confused and hurt by the accusation, tried to explain, her voice trembling. "We're just going for our walk. We live here," she said softly. Karen, unimpressed by their words, didn't let up. "I know what you're doing. You're casing houses," she accused. Her tone was cold, judgmental, and far too loud. The air was tense, and Mr. Thompson, though he could not see Karen, could feel the hostility in her voice. Suddenly, without warning, Karen lunged forward, grabbing Mr. Thompson's cane and yanking it away from him. He stumbled, nearly falling to the ground. Mrs. Thompson screamed in panic as her husband teetered dangerously. "Please don't hurt him," she begged, her heart racing, her face pale with shock. The elderly man steadied himself, breathing heavily, his face pale with shock. The couple was now not just frightened, they were outraged. They needed help, and they knew just who to call. Mrs. Thompson, her hands shaking with fear, grabbed her phone. She quickly dialed the number of their son, Officer Mark Thompson, a respected police officer in the city. "Mom, what's going on?" Mark answered urgently, recognizing his mother's tone. She didn't hesitate. "It's Karen. She's accusing us of something we didn't do. She took your father's cane." Mark, a seasoned officer, had always been there for his family, but this time, it was personal. He could hear the distress in his mother's voice. "Stay calm, Mom. I'm on my way." Mark arrived in full uniform, his police car pulling up to the curb with a screech of tires. As he stepped out, Karen's eyes widened in recognition. "Mark!" she exclaimed, her tone now faltering. "I didn't know it was you. There's been some mistake. This isn't what it looks like." Mark's piercing gaze never wavered. "Mom, Dad, are you okay?" he asked, his voice calm but authoritative. Mrs. Thompson nodded, relieved to see her son. Mark then turned to Karen, his expression serious. "I suggest you calm down, Karen, before things escalate further." Within minutes, 2 uniformed officers pulled up to the scene. They had been called by concerned neighbors who had witnessed Karen's aggressive behavior. As they stepped out, they immediately assessed the situation. One officer, Officer Jensen, looked at Mark and asked, "Is everything okay here?" Mark nodded firmly, pointing to Karen. "She's the problem." Karen's face flushed red with embarrassment. I just thought they were suspicious," she mumbled, attempting to justify her actions. Just as Karen tried to defend herself, several neighbors who had witnessed the confrontation stepped forward. "We saw everything." One neighbor, Mrs. Clark, spoke up. Karen was yelling at them for no reason. Karen's excuses fell apart as more and more neighbors confirmed what had happened. Mrs. Thompson looked at her son with gratitude in her eyes, but also frustration. "I can't believe this is happening," she whispered. Karen's face turned pale as the weight of the situation hit her. I was just trying to help," she stammered, but it was clear to everyone that her words rang hollow. Mark, standing tall, addressed the officers. "This woman needs to be held accountable. Harassment is a crime." Karen, realizing the full weight of the situation, tried to wriggle free. "It was just a misunderstanding," she cried. But the officers weren't buying it. "You took his cane from him," Officer Jensen reminded her. "That's assault. You've broken the law." Mark, ever the professional, made sure the case was documented. "We'll be filing charges," he said firmly. Karen's face drained of color. There would be no getting out of this one. Mrs. Thompson took her husband's arm, her voice steady. "We've been through a lot, but we're going to be okay." Over the next few days, neighbors expressed their outrage. How could she treat them that way? Mrs. Clark remarked to anyone who would listen. The couple had always been well liked in the community. As more people spoke up, Karen began to feel the sting of her behavior. Karen, once a self-appointed authority in the neighborhood, now found herself shunned by the very people she had tried to impress. Her once close-knit social circle evaporated as people realized the extent of her prejudice and entitlement. One evening, Karen visited Mrs. Thompson to apologize, but the elderly woman was not interested in accepting her apology. "You don't understand," Karen began, but Mrs. Thompson shook her head. "I understand more than you think." Karen left the Thompsons' home, her heart heavy with regret. She had learned a hard lesson. Sometimes, pride and prejudice cost more than you could afford. "I'll never make that mistake again," she muttered to herself as she walked away. The legal proceedings began, and Karen was officially charged with harassment. The community had spoken, and now justice would be served. Karen's reputation, once pristine in her eyes, had been shattered. The Thompsons, though shaken, had found peace in knowing the truth had prevailed. The charges against Karen were a reminder of the consequences of unchecked prejudice. As Karen sat in court, awaiting her fate, she reflected on the choices she had made that day. "I was wrong," she thought to herself, "and now I must face the consequences." The judge handed down a sentence, and Karen knew her actions would follow her for the rest of her life. The Thompsons, however, continued their walks, unburdened and stronger than ever. They had stood up for themselves, and in doing so, they had shown the world the power of courage and integrity. Justice may take time, but it will always prevail over prejudice. Stand up for what's right, even when it seems hard. What do you think of this story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring tales like this.